You're live. Okay. So there'll be a latency period here. Okay. Now the question is, can you see and hear me? And there are two people that are supposedly watching. So I would very much like someone to tell me, looks and sounds good. Okay. Can hear. Okay, let me throw these links. Okay. Okay. Let me just put the links up. 1 second here. No green bar audio, perfect. Okay, the camera is not the fancy one, but better a little less fancy than something that doesn't work. Someone says hello from Taiwan. Well, hello from Finland. So, 15 minutes after I planned to start. Now I'm a bit discombobulated on very moody audio. Oh boy. Well, I think this is what we're stuck with if it's serviceable, even if it's not exemplary. Um, so the technical issues have, of course, completely derailed my train of thought about what I was planning to say. So I guess we could, you know, if you're watching this live, join us in the chat and we can make this a bit interactive. I had just decided to do this about an hour ago because, well, I have been a little under the weather with gastrointestinal issues, so I didn't have some social activity this weekend that I thought I was going to. And so I was feeling a bit lonely and I'm feeling a little bit better and I wanted to do some interaction. So interact, please. Well, one thing I can show you is the main thing being worked on right now is a true relation of the Great Virginia Disastrum of 1633. Here's a printout of the text that I'm still. And then here is, no, not that one. Here is a dummy mock-up, a prelim dummy mock-up of what it's going to look like. The plan, and again, everything might change depending on different costs and how things actually are practically, but we got a dummy mock-up of what the project will look like. It'll be a 3-book set, hopefully in a slipcase with some other components there in the slipcase. It's the biggest project we've ever done by Ezra Clavery. It's uh, the best way I can think to describe it, which will both give you a general idea and give you completely the wrong idea if you read too much into it. But think annihilation if it was going on in colonial Virginia, but what the strange thing isn't the same as in annihilation. But it's I consider it something that's should be good for more general audiences. It's not the grindhouse extreme shock you kind of Lamentations thing. Uh, What's the art situation in it? We have we found an artist, last name Flowerdew, and well, before I screw up his first name, let me yeah, James Flowerdew. He he made illustrations for the whole thing that resemble wood period woodcuts. So the thing is very it's yeah, it's like faux woodcut kind of presentation. So it helps put you in the general time frame of when it occurs, and it yeah, and I think it works for both setting up Jamestown and the mundane home base and the far more fantastical things. I think it's great. So that's what's going on. Yeah, and then there's a very preliminary version of what my own project is going to be. Oh yeah, and some of the books in here, it's just for size purposes, like Better Than Any Man. It's like one of the books is that many pages. One of the books is as big as Staffordshire, and then we had to have a dummy book made up for one of the books that we didn't have, just so we can get the size. So say that, and then project that I'm working on presently. Uh, again, this is very preliminary how it's going to be presented, but the idea is going to be a bit of a box set, whether it's a box like this or something like the deluxe or grindhouse boxes, like a cardboard fold over, will depend entirely on cost. But there will be, custom dice. These are just dummies, and a pack of cards, and a book of about that size. And this might not be released with the Disastrum, because the Disastrum, the art's all done, the writing's all done. 99% of the layout is just the covers and everything that need to be finished up. So yeah, but of course my thing, I'm not quite finished with it yet, if you can believe it or not. So the box thing I'm working on might have to wait until the next release cycle. So those are the main things. We have a couple more things also in process. Layer of the Brain Eaters by David Ritzlin. That's pretty much ready to go. That was originally scheduled to be part of that mass release last summer, but some of the art wasn't quite done. Didn't want to rush it. So that's a real like old school swords and sorcery approach. And then if we have something else, not sure yet. So that's that. I'm hoping that the referee book that will have the edit done this month. That's what I was told, but that's a cursed project, and I'm not going. I'm not going to give any official updates on anything until that's in, because if it's late, that would be perfectly on brand. But yeah, the release date for this, really hoping to go to press in January on it, but this is Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and we will see. And I think one of the lessons from last summer is getting stuff done just to get stuff done does it's not always for the best. So especially this being the biggest project we've ever done, it is absolutely crucial that we get it right. And if it takes a little bit longer, then we are going to take a little bit longer. Question in the chat: is an East Coast native tribe hunter a specialist or a fighter? I would think a specialist. That's what I would think. I would think a fighter would be specifically a more of a warrior type. But depending on what role you want to have that NPC be, or player character, it's more depending on what abilities you want them to have mechanically. If you want them to be more skill based, make them a specialist. If you want them to be more fearsome as a warrior, you pick a fighter. It's those those class descriptions. Well, for the two mundane ones, it's the label you put on them is not dependent necessarily on their role within the setting, but in the mechanical effects that you want them to have. Whereas, like magic users and clerics, that's again, you can relabel them however you want for inside the narrative of the game, but that's the label for what mechanical effects they'll have. Greetings to the other people who have come in. Hey, Jeff and Full Metal Dragon and Jem and Zach and Samuel. Oh, this is like the magic mirror at the end. Oh, and I see Jen and Christoph and Rumil and Chris and hello everybody. So yeah, we've let's see. Yeah. Natives always train as fighter and hunter, yes, but remember what they do. But what they do mechanically is going to be a more important consideration. But again, if they're NPCs, you can do whatever you want. You can say, "Oh, this these characters are zero level fighters, but they've got some skill level. They've got 3 bushcraft and +1 to hit. You can make anything up that you actually want. The I mean that's the great thing about these kind of rule systems. They are very, very, very fast and loose. And if you want to create your own custom classes to introduce, then if I can make daughter brides and mushroom mans as classes, then you can come up with some hunting class. Hacking a game is blasphemy. Yes, up the blasphemy. Yeah, I mean the basic system is designed to be the basic system. We Lamentations has released lots of little custom things. So do a custom thing if you think something needs to be customized that the basic rules don't fit. That's the idea that a game has to encompass everything out of the box, like every specific thing you want to do, I think is, I don't want to say it's unreasonable for a game, but if you have a game that covers all the basics, and is simple, I prefer the Lamentations approach and the whole old school D&D and the BX and basic stuff. That approach, it's useful because it's simplistic. You can say, okay, here's a few fighters, and there's only a limited amount of moving parts that you have to worry about in just making that up. Whereas if you're doing hero system or GURPS or even like a version of Dungeons and Dragons, it's got feats and all this stuff. Uh, yeah, it's just that ease of use. I used to be a big GURPS guy in the '90s, but it's difficult to make up things on the fly that fit in mechanically for balance issues with a game like that. That's something that you have to have to me, to run it to my satisfaction, I had to have a whole library of things ready in order for it to work. It may just be that I didn't have the fluency that I do in the Lamentations based system to be able to come up with stuff on the fly. It's combination it's a combination of your comfort level with the system, but I think some systems allow it's got a it's got a more forgiving learning curve to get there, I think. Uh, the best hunter would be a first level magic user with sleep, provided the game had no more than 4 hit dice. Well, yes. Do the fancy packages always sell better? Not always. But especially there is a business side to it. If you do a fancy package and your book costs say 30 euros, or as opposed to like a more bare bones presentation and the book costs 20 euros, if you sell the same number of books, then you're going to make more money with the fancier package that sells for 30 euros a pop. Especially the way I do the pricing, it's based on multiples of the base cost. So it's on one hand a business thing. On the other hand, I'm the kind of guy that when I can, I prefer getting like the digibook version of a CD. I'm a very, I'm still a person that does CDs and getting new CDs. Like, here's one, The Sword of Dis. It's like a fancy A5 digibook kind of thing. I would rather get that than a normal jewel case if I have the option. And for books, I have like old 70s paperbacks of all the old Fawford and Gray Mouser books, but I also buy the fancy hardcovers as they come out because I like the fancy versions. I've like upgraded my Lovecraft two or three times as fancier versions come out. So on one hand, there's like business reasons to do fancier versions. On the other hand, as a consumer, I also like them. So, yeah, that's that. Yeah. So, where are? So I've always preferred Hero System to GURPS. I think it depends on what kind of game you're doing. Uh, Hero System, I thought, works for superheroes far better than GURPS does, which I think makes sense considering where each of those systems came from and what they were originally used for. Yeah. Um, so we got 25 people that are apparently watching the stream. You're all invited to come into the chat. I did this more to try to be a little social as I'm recovering from a bit of minor illness where I had to cancel some plans over the weekend. So, it was my motivations for doing the live stream are more that than having any big things to say. I think I've had enough big things to say on YouTube over the past little while. So come on in the chat and be social. Let's see. Which of the other indie game companies still talk to you? That's difficult because I'm not very pro social with a lot. I mean, the past few years have been rough, and it's not been all people shunning me. It's been me, hiding behind a walled garden. I didn't have any problems when I was at Dragon Meet. A lot of people that I used to talk to, I was able to talk to no problem, and not even getting weird looks. I'm sure there's some people, well, my paranoia is there's some people I would have tried to talk to that wouldn't have liked me, but everyone I tried talking to, there was no problem. Uh, yeah, but as I'm trying to figure out how to be better myself and for Lamentations to be what it needs to be, I've been looking at a lot of ways I used to be and how when someone took a swing at me back in the old days, I would try rhetorically to give back as good as I got. And there's a lot of posts on the blog that were about the scene fights. A lot of that happened on Google Plus, which is lost, I guess, forever. But because some people were saying like the stuff that I've done the past couple weeks, it's not what I should be spending time on. But how long have I just been letting people take swings at me without standing up for myself? And I think that is one of the things that has been a real problem for Lamentations of the Flame Princess. And it's like me waking up a little bit more that, it will be divisive and some people won't like it, but I can't I can't do this whole thing properly and still hide behind a walled garden trying to protect myself from the world. I have to step into the world and be me for better and for worse. And, people can like it or they can not like it. The only important thing with that is to keep that stuff out of the books. There needs to be a sharp separation of what Lamentations stands for and making the statements and fighting the fights and what the actual creative output is. They, nobody in next year or in 5 years time or 20 years time pulling any of this stuff out wants to be reading a gaming book that's, bitching about what someone said online, essentially. Um, so yeah, how were sales at Dragon Meat? They were 50% greater than last time I was there in 2019, which I consider a success. I think you should spend time on whatever the hell you want. That's true, but uh, fighting the good fight is is something I do want to do. I just have to not be scared of the repercussions. I think a lot of what Lamentations has been. I don't think we've been betraying the old ideals in the books. For example, doing the Grindhouse edition with the art and doing things like Death, Love, Doom, and Fuck for Satan, we're basically running through the scene going, ha ha ha, I can do what I want, ha ha ha. And then as people have problems with it, I stood up and defended myself. Uh, and past few years, doing things like Book of Antithesis or White Power, WIGHT, I think I haven't been afraid to release books that could cause problems. I just haven't wanted to deal with the problems. And I'm trying to get inside my own head and figure out why that has been, for both, going beyond just obvious things and figuring out how to configure myself better to fight the fights that I need to fight to do the material that I want to do and still exist as a business. And it is a fight. That's and my wishing or believing that it shouldn't be a fight just to make the stuff. Well, that has no effect on the actual reality of whether it's a fight. So, it sucks, but if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it, and I have to do it without fear. It's like the stuff I said in the last two videos. I I'm under the impression that it is. You see, I don't know. I'm just under the impression that it's a minority view that I'm giving off in the gaming community at large. And I knew that there's a non-zero chance that a good amount of my audience is going to think, "Oh, you fucking idiot." But how am I supposed to operate being afraid of my own thoughts and beliefs, and I think that the language used and what's okay to do in fiction is absolutely directly relevant to the output of a role-playing company. So I think it was absolutely relevant to put on, official Lamentations of the Flame Princess media channels and not just like my personal account. So that's uh so yeah. So if you disagree with anything I said, I respect disagreement as long as you don't require me to agree with you. That's that's that. But yeah, I need to just have faith that my actual instincts will work, because if they won't work, I just need to fail, really, because I can't operate against my instincts, and I can't have instincts that I'm afraid to demonstrate. Or else this whole creative project, what is it? I might as well just do like fifth edition third party stuff. Why would anyone hate? Because they're assholes. That's uh or to be more specific, they think they know the actual correct way to be, and they treat anyone that doesn't think or behave that same way as the actual enemy to be eliminated. And obviously, I don't like that so much. Um, sounds like Twitter. It's not just Twitter. It's out in the world. It's at the conventions. It's in the online discussion platforms. It's in the publishing houses. That sort of attitude. I mean, in Twitter you can just see it more, but it is everywhere. People people act on that stuff in real life. I got it. Hello from Italy. Well, hello from Helsinki. Uh, so I'm a bit out of the loop. Can you summarize shortly or point to a video if you talked about this before? Um, well, I don't go into a lot of the details of the origins of this, but the last two videos are on the channel. Give my reaction to certain attitudes. But basically, I do what I guess is considered difficult work. I'm a very underground, heavy metal, independent horror kind of fan, and I believe in doing things in an uncensored manner. And some people want things to be a little more controlled, a little more mainstream presentable, I guess, and will fight to keep things that aren't to that standard away from people. Are you kind of like Fear and Hunger developer? I'm not so familiar, but if like you've just run across the live stream, you don't know who I am. I'm James Edward Raggi the Fourth. I'm an American who is a permanent resident of Finland, and I run the tabletop. I publish the tabletop role playing game Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's based on old school mechanics. It's a very meat and potatoes game mechanically, where a lot of the flavor and the stuff of the game come from the supplements and the adventures. Sanitized, yes, that's the word. People prefer things a little more sanitized, and I do not. It's not to say that I don't like some things that are more sanitized, as long as I can get the vibe from the work that this is what the person likes to do. So, yeah. Why are you not in a suit and why don't you have a top hat? I haven't worn a suit since my first wedding back in like 2006. I think that's the last time I wore a tie. Top hat. I don't think I've ever touched a top hat. Although I've got a nice furry hat for the Finnish winter. Uh, Maybe for Christmas you should make LOTFP more sanitized. Well, we still have copies of Midwinter available from the EU web store. We're running low on those though, and of course you can get the PDF off of drive-through. It's a miracle he's even wearing clothes. You'll notice, you might have noticed that since I started losing weight, I haven't done any of the naked videos because spoiler for plans. Remember last year, February, I think it was, I did that video where I stripped naked and ran through the snow. And this year, I'm wanting on the 1 year anniversary to do that again, but with my slightly slimmer form. It's still, uh, yeah, it's still old man pudge, but hopefully it will be very noticeably different if you compare the February 23 and February 24 footage of me running naked through the snow. Uh, yeah. Let's see. Where in the U.S. were you living? I'm in New Jersey. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, as the third generation of my family to live in the public housing projects of Greenwich, Connecticut. So, our family, especially when I was, a real little kid, we didn't have a pot to piss in, and I was going to school with people that lived in $1 million houses. Then the family moved to Kissimmee, Florida, just south of Orlando. Went to high school there, and then I lived for 12 years in Atlanta, Georgia. Before coming to Finland, I lived in Vasa first for a couple years before moving to Helsinki. You should do a book about the horrors of diet culture. Well, there are no horrors of diet culture. If you find something that you can the horrors are finding something that you're comfortable eating all the time. Because I switched to the keto diet, ketogenic diet at the beginning of April, and it's a social mess because it's difficult to eat with other people if you're just saying I'm not doing carbs. And everything in the media is telling you, oh, meat is horrible and it's this and that for various reasons, but it's like that became the majority of my diet, meat, and I've lost a lot of weight. My health has greatly improved. I'm taking a break now from the diet from my birthday, that was on the 7th, through to Christmas. And so I immediately started going back to all the food that I've missed, which is mostly garbage. I got up to 350 pounds at my peak. Well, no, that was the last time I was weighed. I was definitely more than that when I started the diet. I've lost 2 shirt sizes this year, and the weight loss has been continuing. December is going to be a little bit of a bump as I'm eating all the crap, but my body did not like going back on the sugar and garbage. Let me tell you, it's rebelled. But there's getting on the ketogenic diet. There's about a week of what's known as carb flu. It's like a sugar withdrawal. It's awful. So even when my body was going, what are you doing again? I'm waiting till after Christmas. We got Christmas plans and Christmas meals. And I don't want to be picky with that. So I want to wait till after Christmas to go through the carb flu again because it is horrible. I don't want to do that multiple times this month, but it's been really good for losing weight. It's been really good for losing weight, and it's something that I've been able to keep up. I did 4 international trips keeping the diet. It was Easiest when I went to Texas because they have affordable family steakhouses there. Gen Con, it's more expensive to keep away from the carbs, but it was still doable, just a bit more expensive. Uh, Germany, well, it was basically set meals at the conventions, but they had some very good. Was it ribs that were great? For England, it was in London for 2 days, and forget it. I just went to the grocery store and bought mozzarella sticks and basically Slim Jims, and that's what I ate for 2 days because fuck it. Sometimes you just, but that kept the diet. But yeah, I should be eating a lot more green vegetables like broccoli and stuff, but it's rough because I guess I never had good food habits, which is how I ended up being as big as I am in the first place. And the disciplines, no, like good food habits and discipline were never anything really instilled in me, which has been lifelong problems. But when deciding what to eat, thinking, oh, I'm going to make broccoli, it's like sometimes I'll do it or I'll get a salad because I should. But as I'm eating it, it doesn't register in my brain as food. So that's a bit difficult. Uh, yeah. Uh, let's see. Broccoli is the dealing with social media of being an artist. Yeah, but when it comes to vegetables, broccoli is like I don't know. It's the least offensive. I mean, I can eat carrots and stuff like now during my break, but some of the root vegetables have lots of carbs. I used to make fun, back when I just didn't care at all when I was younger. You know, I'd watch like comedy videos making fun of people of not eating apples because they've got carbs, and now I'm just like, can't eat perfectly healthy things because that'll ruin my ketosis. And, it's I again without the discipline and willpower. One thing about the ketogenic diet is I found I can eat as much as I want of this narrow band of foods, and it's still you're still sticking to the diet, and I still lose weight doing that. So yeah, that's why that diet works for me because if I'm just like hungry, I don't have to be hungry. I can just go to the store and buy some chicken and stick it in the oven and I'm eating and I'm not counting calories or worrying about how much of it I'm eating. Uh, yeah. I can tell you haven't been on a diet since 1985. Well, actually, no. Back in 2017, I also lost a bunch of weight. Uh, Same diet, but for various reasons, well, when everything else started going to hell, I fell off that wagon hard. Hearing your journey is super inspiring. Oh God, it's yeah. It's a bit disturbing being called inspiring. It's yeah, because I feel like if you're looking at me as a role model, it's one of those things you're going to be disappointed. I'm a guy that's got certain urges to make certain things, and I got a little bit of talent for it, and that's why I'm able to do it. But otherwise, I am a mess. So yeah. I'm a sweet tooth, so that diet is torture for me. I know everyone is different, but if you can get by that first week and get over the carb flu, it your whole body reaction to food completely changes. Um, Since we talk food, try cabbage and anchovies. Ah, anchovies. I know it's more a mental prejudice than actual taste, but when I want to do fish, it's like it just get. Is it salmon? Is that what? Well, I never cook it. It's always my girlfriend that cooks the fish when we do fish. Because I mean, one thing about beef is like it doesn't matter if you undercook it. If it's like rare, medium rare, it's okay to eat. Chicken and fish I do less often because if you screw it up, you don't pay close attention, then boom, food poisoning. Yeah. So another old school game company that you can challenge to an old school tournament. Well, it depends what kind of tournament. What are the terms of the competition and what's the prize at the end? Yeah. Now let's see going up. But you do it. Well, again, it depends. I mean, I'm behind on all the things I should be doing anyway without something new to come on. I mean, something new to do to come on. What am I talking about? Yeah. Uh, yeah. Let's see. What are the some of the other? Now I feel obligated to do a side by side comparison when the second video comes out of me running naked through the snow. I guess try to shoot at least one identical shot. Yeah, that's the idea. It'll basically be an identical video. Uh, it has to be since it has to be shot from me from behind in order to get on YouTube. Tell them about when you try to come on the universe. That was in a video. The top 10 things that you can have sex with, the Lamentations of the Flame Princess. The after credits bit, I give the full story. It's basically we found in the game that I play in, we found a portal to the beginnings of the universe. And if you, we experimented that if you throw something in, it affects the universe. It becomes part of the universe's creation. So I had the idea that I could become the universe by, you know, spilling some seed through the portal. And for some reason, all the other players freaked out. It wasn't even a competition to see whose stuff can go in there. It's like, no, we're not doing it at all. And people have no ambition or imagination. I swear. Oh yeah, someone asked what I was listening to and reading, I think. Or am I just being hopeful or wanting to talk about it? But let's see. What have I been listening to? Let's see. The band Asphyx. Yeah, someone did ask that. Okay. Asphyx, I think I have had their first few albums for quite some time, but they had broken up and I think reformed around 2009. And I'd never heard any of that stuff, any of the post-Reformation Asphyx stuff. And for some reason, I decided I needed to get it all. And nobody had told me that they had turned into salty old bastards, just crapping all over the current death metal scene, and just basically calling themselves the true death doom, and just taking a crap over on. It's like, this is great. I love this. The albums sound better than the old ones. So yeah, the last 14, 15 years of Asphyx, just excellent, highly recommended. What else have I got here? What's new? Yeah, Rune Magic, Sacramentum. Hadn't been into them before. Yeah, yeah, I think that. And what have I been reading? Oh yeah, been rereading Kenneth Height's Tour to Lovecraft. Been reading some weird metal zines, Bardo methodology, that all of everyone they interview is like talking about occultism and all that. And yeah, what else have I been reading? Astro City Metro books. That's like that stuff. Keep up on the latest Junji Ito hardcover releases from who was it, Viz, that puts those out. Um, let's see. As a wrestling fan, are you excited, not excited for the Iron Claw movie? Uh, I think I might not see it for the same reason I never wanted to see the Lords of Chaos movie, because I will just nitpick it for what I understand to be the historical inaccuracies and moving stuff around time wise, which you need to do when making that kind of movie. It's if I think I might like it better if I had no connection to the source material. Yeah. Uh, but but as long as it gets the broad strokes correct, I'm actually glad that it's out there. The if that movie has any sort of happy ending, they're doing it wrong, because I know, I mean, like there's a new generation of Von Erichs in wrestling now, and my God, why? Oh my God, I mean, they can do what they want, but it's sort of like, wow, this is the industry that destroyed that both made and destroyed the family. Let's get into it, bro. God. Yeah. Yeah. But good luck to them, and hopefully the culture behind the scenes in wrestling really is better than it used to be. I know we're told that as PR, but hopefully it is, and so these guys can not die. So, Height has weird taste in Lovecraft. Well, talking about this is like, maybe, but if you're putting the color out of space as the top tier, then it's like everything else is details, because you've got the top level. For example, oh God, I can't even remember. Oh God, I can't think of things off the top of my head. What is it? What Like, he doesn't like Reanimator. I know that. Ah, the Shunned House. Yeah, that's the one. It's like the Shunned House is one of my favorite Lovecraft stories. I love how it's structured. I love the whole thing. I almost never see that as anyone else's favorites, or on anyone's lists of best Lovecraft. So yeah. For some reason, people keep asking me this as if I have any idea. So how's the ref book coming? The editor said he'd have it back to me sometime this month. If it doesn't happen this month, then that would be perfectly on brand, especially for that particular project. But I'm hoping, I'm not going to give any dates or time frame, because how many times have I looked like a complete idiot doing that for the project? But once I have that in, I would think things would progress far quicker for the ending stretch than we're much closer to the end than the beginning. Uh, let's see. I'm so excited for a ref book. I need a ref book. Well, the previous printing is available for free download off our drive-through page. Let's see. The people who work in wrestling are carnies. They will never not be scammers and liars. Uh, I would go so far as to say that's going to be true of anyone who has an irregular traveling profession. I think, I don't think rock stars are less carny or than pro wrestlers and like actual circus people and things like that. I think it's the nature, especially these days where they don't have to pretend it's real. I don't think professional wrestling is any worse in that regard to the other traveling performance professions. Ref book better not be your Chinese democracy, my dude. Well, it's not going to live up to the length of time people have had to wait for it. I mean, I'm resigned to that. I'm making sure it's the absolute best I could make it. But there's nothing that it could be that people are going to go, well, that explains the wait. And I feel glad it took, I feel better about it taking this long. That's going to be the reality of it, but I don't just want to shit it out to get it out there. I want to make sure at least I can say that after all this time, at least I made it the best it could be. It's oh god, now I got this email. Sorry, I'm expecting. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I gotta. Okay, sorry. Just had to check on email. Just got the confirmation and the link for the psych evaluation I'm doing over Zoom tomorrow morning. So make it magical. Doing what we can to make the ref book magical. Yeah. So so we got 36 people watching. I don't know how many are actually in the chat, but if you're watching, this is more of a me wanting to be social and interact with people. So come on in the chat and talk. Let's talk. I'm answering questions. Uh, Psych evals are easy. Well, you just honestly answer questions, I hope. It's the question is, for me, the question is there any going to be any results? Is anything going to happen afterwards? I guess my greatest fear in pursuing brain help is the fear that they're just going to say there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not handling things well. You're just not equipped to handle stress. But there's nothing clinically wrong with you, so fuck off. That's my fear, but I also don't want to. So there's this. If you swallow your pride or realize there's a problem and you want to get help, you want help, but I know I'm in a better. I live in a low income neighborhood in Helsinki. There's like a halfway house here and all sorts. So I run into people. I would estimate anytime I go out the door in this neighborhood, I'm in the upper 50% of people who has their shit together. So I know there's worse than me, people that are in much worse shape than me. And so that always makes me think, is do I not actually have a problem? So yeah, I got told by the counselor that she'd never met anyone with such low self-esteem, so that's nice. Yeah, you see, Kelvin, you are a brilliant writer. The stuff you've released, or the stuff that I've released of yours, when I get a new Kelvin Green manuscript, when I those are the ones I anticipate the most, and I think I get the most joy out of reading your writing, out of anyone I've worked with. And I think it's criminal that you are not like the all-time best-selling signature LOTFP author. How's that for your self-esteem? Uh, have you ever read Alan Moore's fiction? I've only seen Alan Moore's like comics, graphic novel stuff. I think Providence has perhaps the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in a non-movie. And any sort of book, whether pictures or just text, that scene in Providence, I think, is just the most horrifying thing. Uh, yeah, oh, with the fish. No, no, that was Neonomicon. I'm talking Providence with the oh, what's the name? He doesn't use the actual name of the character. Hold on. Let me uh Elspeth Wade. The bit with Elspeth Wade in Providence. That's that's the fucking worst. I mean, I I'm desensitized to horrible things, I think, in fiction. But I just when I first read that, that was like, whole fuck me, literally fuck me. So yeah, yeah. Would you do a Satan book or something that denigrates every religion and political belief out there? It would have to be relevant. I mean, I've done a book called "Fuck for Satan." We've done Book of Antithesis. So I think doing a Satan book has been done, but denigrating every religion and political belief out there, it's got to be done in context. There's got to be it's got to be some fictional game value to it. When I did the Zach has nothing to do with this book thing, that I understand why I did that, and maybe I needed to do that for my own sanity, but I think that was a bad thing to release as a game supplement because it was addressing real life stuff instead of just being a game thing that is supposed to be enjoyed. So, yeah. Uh, yeah, it really helped in court. Well, and that wasn't the point of it, but yeah. So 44 people watching. Get in the chat, interact, ask questions. I'm trying to be sociable. Getting past a minor illness, and as I've said a few times, I had to cancel some plans this weekend because of it. So I'm wanting to interact with people. So come on, let's do hugs, everybody. Uh, let's see. No. um, Miniatures. I mean, if somebody wants to license miniatures, which is difficult because the characters are modeled after real people, so we need their permission and everything as well. Um, yeah, so that might, but miniatures is nothing I want to get into manufacturing. I know nothing about the miniatures industry. If someone wants to license it for Lamentations miniatures, then we can talk. Uh, People also keep asking about an LOTFP art book. I know you've said no in the past. That's a bit of a difficult thing too, because I think the vast majority of LOTFP art is done digitally and it's done to size. Like we do A5 pages, so the artists are working 300 DPI, the print resolution, at that size, and doing an art book of just that size stuff that's already been published, like it doesn't make sense to me. And then trying to figure out how, and then it would have to be figured out. It couldn't just be me just taking all the money for an art book, and that would have to be figured out. And yeah, yeah, hey man, I'm a new fan. Discovered your work a couple weeks ago. I patronized your web store and just today picked up more LOTFP books today in Ulm, Germany. Thanks for the art and creativity. Well, thank you for your business. That's what keeps us going. Is this you? And that's no, that's someone in Greece. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Well, thank you. It's always good new people coming in. That's very important. It's very yeah. Well, I lived in Greece before. Yeah. It's always good. New people is always good because, like, there's somebody selling stuff on the LOTFP group right now, and it's always. And I know it's completely normal with every game. People are always, there's always people that are selling things for whatever reason. Maybe they thought I was an asshole. Maybe they got money problems. Maybe they just into something else. And, but I always think, oh, why would you ever get rid of it? Oh, so, but that's normal. And, new people have to come in to replace them. So it's very good. Uh, yeah. So do I need to vamp some more until new questions come in? I don't know. So one of the I don't know if it's right to say that one of the assumptions I make is that Lamentations fans will be metal fans. Uh, I do know that every single person that had a weirdo metal shirt on at Dragon Meet ended up at my booth. So I think I'm hitting that little niche very well. But I just wonder if some of you people that aren't into metal or into weirdo metal, if there's stuff that like just doesn't make sense in Lamentations. It's like, do you all the way get what we're doing? It's impossible for me to know. And that's what is your favorite Norwegian black metal band? Well, the easy one to say would be Emperor. I could say things like Enslaved, but the things I like about Enslaved or Sullifald is they're not like my favorite Enslaved stuff is when they got weird. Sullifald was never like orthodox black metal. Borknagar, I like their earlier stuff better than their newer stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a metal fan. I'm not into hard metal. Never felt lost in any of my Lamentations books. I'm a fan of a lot of music, not so much of metal. I'm sure most of the fans are not made of metal. I wonder what stuff might be going over my head because I'm not inculcated in the culture. So yeah, it's well, there's not a lot of Easter eggs that I put in, so you're not missing anything that way. But it's like more of the attitude. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's one thing with metal though, it's there's a lot more weird people. Uh, See, the attitude is 100% why I like the Lamentations books. I mean, when it comes to metal, I'm like a metal nerd. I'm not your typical metalhead. I don't drink. I don't. When I go to a metal show, I just kind of I sit off to the side and I want to enjoy the music, but seeing how everyone else interacts, and there are some like weirdos. I consider weirdos like seriously into the occult. People who actually worship Satan seriously, not even as a Levian Church of Satan thing, but an actual belief Satan, the enemy of God, as a real thing. And that's, and in all sorts of strangeness. So it's like I can admire the art that some of these people do, but as human beings, it's like I'm Homer going into the bushes. Like, okay, that's good. It's yeah, yeah, a lot of nerds in the metal community actually. Yes, and I mean, because I like uh, my assumption is like the nerds are either into like dream theater kind of stuff, which I don't like at all. It's like it's got nothing that I want from metal, or like the really ridiculous technical stuff that I think the Zoth XOTH I think is the latest band that I got stuff from that's that kind of tech stuff. But Behold the Octopus would be the far end of that kind of just fast, complicated music for just for the sake of being fast and complicated. That's what I think of nerdy metal. Uh, let's see. How metal is Blind Guardian? Oh, they're fully metal. I mean, they're traditional. Their stuff from the '80s. They fully qualify. They did that one orchestral album, which of course isn't metal, but I'm like less interested now than I used to be. But that whole everything up to and including A Night at the Opera, I think they're all amazing. I think Somewhere Far Beyond and Imaginations from the Other Side, I would consider my absolute favorites. Nightfall and Middle Earth would be, except for all of those interludes between the songs. Like I understand why they did it, and I think it's interesting to get that full thing the first time you're listening to an album. But when you listen to the album on the 100th time, it's like you don't need the narration anymore. Just get to the fucking song. Yeah. Death Haven. I actually haven't heard them. No Quarter from Crowbar. Never a big Crowbar fan. Generally, someone mentions sludge, and it's like I like Doom, but the not so much sludge. Like I Hate God. I've never much. I saw them live once, and it was like okay. Um, I like the Candlemass School of Doom, Reverend Bizarre, Spiritus Mortis, that kind of thing. Have you heard Green? Now your people are all just going to be shouting metal bands at me. I'd be like, nope, nope. But what did I see? Last show I went to was last Saturday. Sour, I don't know. SAOR, Scottish metal band, and Vermilia, and they're pretty good. Um, yeah, it's just yeah. Most of my spare money these days is just buying a stupid amount of CDs. Like when I found out that where is it? Is it there? Where is it? No, 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 no. Like when I found out, because I thought this stuff was way out of print and I didn't even know they were still around. Like the band Iron Sword, it's a band by one of the guys that were in Moonspell way back when. Well, they're still on the label that the Moonspell people run. And so like this is from like, I think 2002, and I found out a Portuguese metal label has their stuff in stock, and this is like Manila Roadish epic heavy metal, and it's just like holy shit, order. Yeah. Time to trick Jim into offering an opinion on a metal band that doesn't exist, except I'm saying when I'm not familiar with a band. It's not like I'm trying to be the all-knowing expert. Yeah. Is Bon Jovi metal? Because their Wikipedia page says they are. Well, I'm going to tell you something. At the show I was at a week ago, there were people there in corpse paint. It's like a real. I mean, it wasn't the hardest of hardcore metal crowds, but these are bands that had like 10-minute folky metal songs, so it was definitely not. These weren't bands that normal people are into. It was all just really, in the life kind of people. I'm fucking telling you, on the PA after the show was over, Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer came on, and so many people, including me, were singing along to it. So I wouldn't classify Bon Jovi as metal, but the whole 80s more glam rock scene, Bon Jovi is one of those that everyone knows, and no one crosses their arms and goes, fucking Bon Jovi. I think, you know. Oh God, so weird seeing someone in a Dark Throne shirt singing along to "Living on a Prayer." I mean, yeah, still 40 people. I see what the thing when it says like there's 40 people. Does that mean like that's just people viewing live? I think, but yeah. Come on in the chat, interact, ask questions, make comments. Hopefully, don't be a dick. It's weird that people have to announce. Well, it's the internet. You got to announce that. But if you're a dick, are you going to listen in the first place? And number two, is it nice to assume that people are going to be dicks that you got to tell them? Yeah, voyeurs. Yeah, you voyeurs. Stop being voyeurs. Be interactive. That's the point of this live stream. Be interactive. I want to run one shot that evokes emotions. We have no limits, literally. What kind of approach would you recommend? Start slow and suck people into it. Don't. How do I put this? Start with something more mundane and more normal, and then boil the frog. Don't just splash boiling water on them to begin with. Jim, buy happy right games. I think you're meaning be happy. I'm. Are you taking submissions? I'm so behind on responding to things. I've got a whole folder of when I'm ready to do a whole bunch of submissions that I'd be getting back to them. But if you have an idea, send it. I mean, stuff like the Yellow Book of Breckerwald, that was just sent to me. Like the Fecal Lands was just sent to me. I had no idea it was coming, and these things come almost fully formed. And I was like, cool, okay. Jim, do you ever listen to any music that isn't metal? Yes, prog rock, like obscure Italian stuff, and I don't even including Goblin. Uh, yeah, like 70s kind of prog rock. Even things like Mellow Candle. That's the most unmetal thing ever. I'll listen to that. And then there are some songs that like stick in my head. Like, was it Real Life? Was that the name of the band that did "Send Me an Angel"? That was in one of those BMX bike movies, Rad maybe. And it's like every so often, for some reason, I've got to listen to "Send Me an Angel." Uh, and then there are things like In Flames once covered Depeche Mode's "Everything Counts." And when I went back to listen to the original, it was the music video I was watching on YouTube, and just watching the dude dance, and it's just like I can't look away from this. It's like a car crash. What are you doing? Is this an 80s thing, or is this whoa, what do you? So Yeah. Yeah. Where do you stand on Atomic Rooster? I have an Atomic Rooster album. Let's see. Let me pull up my database here. I'm sure I've got something. I've got like God. I mean, you can see some of my CD collection back there. I've got almost 3,000 of them at this point. So I actually had to put together a database a few months back because I would keep ordering doubles every so often, and it's like this is ridiculous and can't continue. Yeah, Atomic Rooster, Death Walks Behind You. I think that's a best of, or it's been a while, but yeah. The reason I have an Atomic Rooster album is because Paradise Lost once covered them, and I was like, oh, okay. Are you playing or running anything that's not LOTFP? Well, I'm playing in a game that's sort of hybrid. I guess we're defaulting to LOTFP rules, but it's kind of a flail snails thing, I think. So I'm sure if someone else picked up another rule book and try to use those rules, who knows? I don't know if Reentz, yeah, Reentz is still in here, so he could let you know if he would allow non LOTFP rule stuff. None of us know what rules we're using. Yeah. Yeah, nice. They're still gigging shockingly. Yeah, a lot of old bands are still gigging. Yeah. Would you ever stream a game online? The thing about streaming I'm not a fan of it. I don't like watching that sort of thing. I don't really get why other people do. And I would have some sort of complex. It's like if I'm going to do a streamed game. I mean, if it's someone else's game and they want me to play, that's fine. But it's like if I'm going to present a streamed game, not to say that I want it presented as well as Critical Role, but I'd want it to be something a little more produced than, hey, look at the bubble wrap behind me. What are you reading now? Don't say Books of Blood. Well, I mentioned. What did I read today? The Astro City Metro book, uh, metal zines. Let's see here. What is the last thing? Reading contemporary weirdo political books. Perennial World War Z makes good mindless bathroom reading because it's broken up into such short chapters. No, I haven't actually cracked the Books of Blood for a while. Let's see. A few months ago, I was reading the Planetary Omnibus. Yeah. Yeah, what's the next thing? I think one of the next. Oh yeah, I haven't started this yet, but I guess it's coming up to the top of the pile. Here's the Metal Underground, the definitive guide to 1980s American independent metal bands by Greek people. Yeah, I like getting those kind of books. Streaming a game with Finns awkwardly sitting around a table staring at the camera, occasionally rolling a die to break the silence. Some dark part of my soul thinks that LOTFP would be a good basis for playing a BattleTech Ameris Civil War campaign. Uh, how would mech fighting how would mech fighting really mesh with like LOTFP rules? I don't know because the mech stuff we did in Earth Incubation Crisis. It was when me and Alex were going back and forth with exactly how to do that. My suggestion was go Robotech, just make it ridiculous amount of dice, and it's just a one-on-one combat this one time. So just make it silly. But if you're doing something where you're regularly going to have mech combat, you would need something that works a little bit better. For a modest advance, I will write this. See, I don't know Evangelion. I know it's anime of some sort, and I'm not attached to BattleTech. Body horror sounds good though. Uh, yeah, I like that. Stream a game with Fin. I have thought one thing. I have thought after I did the like product introduction thing where I'm talking to myself. I did have an idea of running a sample game of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, where I'm both the referee and all of the players. So there would be six of me around the same table. Of course, it would have to be a scripted thing. So, but the amount of work that takes, the amount of planning and effort, and it's like, are you going to the next Robocon in Helsinki? Yes. Anime is cartoons from Japan, James. Well, yes, I know that. Uh, but what do I like as far as anime? I mean, I like Robotech, even though I know that was a bastardized American scrunching of three different ones into one thing. Uh, and oh, because I had a roommate whose parents were both Japanese, and this is back in the '90s. And to be in touch with his heritage, he got lots of anime laser discs, and so I was treated to a bunch. That's where I was. That's where I was introduced to the Overfiend and fun shit like that. It's a weird thing to watch with like roommate and his girlfriend. But one thing I liked, and I actually ended up getting the DVDs for myself, was Ah My Goddess, because it was just like so cute. But I'm not a big anime person. Uh, a Legend of the Overfiend, obviously. Yuratsuka Doji. Um, what Testament album was it? They had an instrumental called Yuratsuka Doji. I can look that up because that's a vital thing to do in the middle of a live stream. But if you're not going to be asking me constant questions, then I can take a second to do this. Testament thrash metal. That was on. Yeah, it was on the 1994 album Low. Yeah, you'd need more T-shirts than just red and black. That's a comment, I guess, on me doing all the parts of a actual play. Well, since I've lost weight, I've bought way too many new shirts, so that wouldn't be a problem. I have so many new shirts. So, shall I write Sailor Blood Moon? Oh God, no, I don't. Oh God, don't do any Sailor Moon stuff because there is no way me going to the models for the characters and asking, "Hey, can we do you up in Sailor Moon outfits?" There's no way that's not going to come across as creepy as shit. Uh, yeah, I know some people. Waiting for a mech game where you 3D print limbs, torsos, heads, and guns to assemble your mech, then parts get blasted off. And you see, that's the thing about those games. I remember the one time I actually played Warhammer Fantasy Battle. We didn't use any miniatures. We actually used the old little cardboard pieces from the old battle system game from TSR, because that's you just need place markers. You don't need the full miniatures, of course. We did it on the kitchen floor, which was tiled with 12-inch squares, which isn't great, considering part of the game is estimating ranges. Yeah, there must be at least one Sailor Moon reference in an LOTFP thing. Write a miniature game, but you just use cats. Be serious, people. This is a very serious thing, and now you people are just making a mockery of it. Oh God, it's 11 p.m. I think I will not be doing like a 5 hour live stream as I've sometimes done. Hello, TFP BattleTech would have 1700s mechs built out of wood. You joke, but back when I was first trying to write my own role playing game, uh, was back in the very early 2000s. I had the plan of here are going to be the rules, and then here are the supplements. And one was going to be, I don't know why I wanted to do this. I don't remember what the inspiration was, but the idea like a fantasy mech kind of thing. LOTFP Weird West. I'm not a big Western kind of guy, but what is the advantage of what is the advantage of like doing a Western as a separate thing? Because a lot of the inspiration for like old school D&D was that frontier Wild West mentality in the first place. So I know aesthetics and stuff that's really important to people, but functionally, what would be important to make something that's mid to late 1800s? What would be the advantage of doing that? Oh yeah, Mad Mex. It's about ad men trying to sell mechs on the Mexican border during the post-apocalypse. Ah, see, Zach, you're getting into the spirit of the Forge and story games now. Make a Chainsaw Man book that will appeal to the weebs. Well, that's almost an English sentence. That's where it's just me. Or did anyone else love the second episode, Grave Rats of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities? That episode gave me the feeling of a level 0, level 1 adventure slash plot. Have not seen it. Is that the series on Netflix? Because I haven't subscribed to Netflix for a while, but I think as soon as True Detective finally airs, it's supposed to be early in the year, right? I think I'll let my HBO Max subscription, go for a while, and then maybe pick up Netflix and watch whatever I missed there the past couple years. Panos Cosmatos episode was really good. It had Eric Andre. Yeah, I just in the past few months I've started watching the Eric Andre show, and that's it's like stuff like Freddy Got Fingered or the Eric Andre show. It's I watched that and realized this is my sense of humor. That's probably not a good thing. It's then you are very hip. Well, that is absolutely, I think, the first time anyone has ever said anything like that about me. Assuming that's me you're talking to there, which I guess it is. Nobody said anything between. Uh, totally be down for LOTFP Cyberpunk like Blade Runner meets Hellraiser. Here's where I lose you all. I don't much like Cyberpunk. I think the big problem with Cyberpunk is I'm not up to date with today's technologies. Like I'm still confused when I get into a car and it's got like a computer dashboard. And I'm thinking, "Oh my god, what is this future shit?" You know, I don't like having a cell phone. I actually bought a pocket watch so I would not feel pressure to walk around with my cell phone as often because most of the time I'm just using it as a watch to look at the time. And if I can't even handle or enjoy that level of technology in life, trying to extrapolate a more cyberpunk future where technology is even more integrated, it's like, that's not going to be me that's doing that. James rocking around Helsinki in his Ford Model T. Well, maybe you have that. I have never had an actual driver's license, and I am nervous when I'm riding in a car in the passenger seat, which happens very rarely. I got a ride home from the concert last week, and I'm just nervous with someone else driving through traffic. It, yeah, I don't even like cars. Holy shit! I mean, I I dislike cars so much that I'm often planning when I'm walking somewhere. How do I get there where I have to cross the least number of streets, or streets with actual crossing signals. So, yeah. But a book that's just 102-page LOTFP variant for different settings and genres. Here's a modern Tokyo horror LOTFP. Here's space LOTFP. Here's a Stone Age LOTFP. I don't know, because that would remind me. That reminds me of like GURPS did something like that. Like here's a like some dimensional source book. Didn't Hero Games have something like that too? Like some sort of multiverse supplement? Yeah, but GURPS sucked. So many people want it. That's yeah, it's I think I enjoy something. This is LOTFP for one shots. Well, not really. Because if you're just like giving 2-page variants for a setting, that's not a one shot. I mean, having like a one spread adventure rather than like some setting, I don't know. I don't know. Here's Forgotten Realms LOTFP. GURPS gives me bleeding ulcers. I was a GURPS guy in the 90s. Are you saying it can't be? I'm not saying it can't be done. Anything can be done. I'm just. I'm just saying it's one of those things I'd be skeptical of until somebody throws it in front of me in a finished form. Uh, Extinguish the Sun Zine number 2 has LOTFP cyberpunk rules. Okay, well, look at that. Extinguish the Sun Zine number 2. I'm so out of every loop. Uh, Almost out of water. So, let's see what else is going on. So, being in the loop is broccoli. Oh, God. So we've been here in this live stream for an hour and a half now. And while it may be fascinating for the 35 people, I'm wondering, people that are coming around later, what in the world are you people talking about? All these LOTFP theme suggestions. I'm still obsessed with the feel of 1600s. That's special in itself. Shit, dude, did 2 years of High Fantasy 5e. I like LOTFP the way it is. Yeah, there's so much of the 17th century that It's just basically been background for some of the adventures. We haven't done very much with the actual setting. And I think I'm worried about I got a whole, well, 2 shelves of just, like, history books, and the idea of distilling that into a game supplement that would be both gameable and accurate, and that's why I've not done that. It's a nightmare. The yeah. That's it's intimid well, I'm not intimidated by it, to run something historical because I don't sweat the details when running a game. I remember being completely wrong about when the Ottoman Empire took over Crete, and I just hand waved it. Oh, time space anomaly. That's just, I actually did that once. What about pirates? I think they were in the 1600s. Indeed, they were, because the whole looting the riches of the New World and bringing it back to Europe, that was a thing. So there were pirates that were after that loot. Yeah. So definitely. I mean, it wasn't the golden age of piracy, but yeah, that definitely was a thing that was going on. I like pirates. You see, at one point, the person took their leave of LOTFP a few years back, but it was going to be a thing where, there was somebody working on like a naval supplement that was going to really dive into the historical details of cargo and really getting the historical flavor for a naval supplement and having it really seem like this time and place rather than generic, but then not happening now. At least there's an excellent Paris guidebook for LOTFP. Yeah. Yeah. I have that entire book in draft and read it so I can write that book. Well, yeah, well, that'd be amazing as an add-on. Yeah. You sigh. Well, yes. It's just like, here's the book. I want to do a book. I want to do a book. It's like I got so much shit to do first before adding other shit on. Yeah, I sigh a lot. Well, if the audio is working well, then it's picking that up. But I think we just got another few minutes in this live stream. What are you, a book publisher? Yeah, I know, right? But I think this live stream is going to have to come to an end soon because, as I've said a couple times, I'm recovering from a tummy bug, but not completely recovered. So I will have to take my leave sooner than later. Uh, Tell us about Graham. Graham? Oh, Graham. Oh, okay. Yeah, my character in Jeff's game. Okay. Uh, Graham is a guy that I've built up to a level 8 fighter. Did we start at level 1? Did we start, Jeff? Are you still in there? Did we start with level 1? Yeah, up to level 8, which means if we've done that in a year's time of a year of playing, that means Jeff is giving away way too much treasure, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the first adventure we did was the Tizun Thane thing from an old, was it White Dwarf? I think. And Graham's thing for a long time. I thought he started at level 2. Okay, well, still. Uh, yeah, the Tizun Thane, a classic White Dwarf thing. And he took the armor of one of the necromancers, and so as a fighter pretended to be a necromancer for the longest time. until quite recently, he fell victim to an acid trap which melted his armor. And instead of just buying new armor, just decided, okay, I'm not going to be the necromancer guy anymore. And the fun thing is, like, he had, while he was a necromancer, he had a +1 sickle that he used. And that was even after we'd found a +3 two-handed sword, which does much more damage. But I thought that the +1 sickle went with the whole necromancer thing a lot better than the +3 sword. So it was one of the henchmen that had a +3 sword. But once the necromancer armor was disintegrated, it was like, okay, now we're going to change weapons since now I got no theme going on. Now I want the +3 sword. And oh my god, oh my god, Graham, well, level 8 fighter now, but as 6th level, 7th level fighter with a +3 two-handed sword, could not hit anything. Literally, he couldn't hit anything. It was all the henchmen who were level 4 and 5 fighters, by the way. They've been built up that much. Can't hit a damn thing. It's the most uncanny thing in the world. That's his job, to hit stuff. And he's got a very magical sword that helps him. And the amount of ones that we roll, that I roll, and Jeff does, fumbles and criticals and stuff. The amount of ones that Graham rolls when trying to attack things, it is so stupid. So stupid. Yeah. So you'd think I've got like tons and tons of dice. I'm like a dice collector, but I think the entire time we've been playing the game, I've been using the same set of dice. And it's like, duh, use a different set. These are obviously cursed. I say that, but I got like a maximum hit point roll when I gained this last level, 8th level fighter with 66 hit points, and that's with D8 when you gain a level, but it helps. I got a +2 constitution bonus. Yes. So are you all interested that I'm telling you about my character? Graham got so many misses in a row that were so bad I estimated the odds of something on the order of 1 in 10 to the 6th power. Does Jeff make you re-roll all hit points at level up? I hope not, because I haven't been doing that. Yeah. You missed the biggest trove in Tizen Thane. Okay, going back. Yes, we should go back because Tizen Thane has that room of mirrors that go into other modules. And we actually kidnapped, the fighter and magic user from Village of Hamlet and tried to get them to adventure for us. They're what, level 5 and 6 when we were like level 2. And so we were like, yeah, you do the danger. Well, How do you feel about numerous activating events of centuries past starting a grand adventure in the 17th century, meaning a starting point that's vaguely historical, then going full fantasy? Well, that's basically the default for Lamentations, because like the default as I see it is if you're using historical Earth, it's like where you start, history exists as we know it, but then you don't follow history. Whatever happens in the game happens, and it becomes pure fantasy. But those kind of campaigns, for some reason I'm thinking of them in terms of like how Pathfinder or 5th edition does the big campaigns. The problem is you don't know if it's a grand narrative. It's like you don't know what the players are going to do in each section. So trying to build a this comes next, and then this comes next, and then this comes next, how do you do that without trying to pressure the players into only doing the things that will let you continue the narrative? I've it's why I prefer like smaller situations, and this is the adventure. Sequel to People of Pembrokeshire when? Not on the docket. I'm sure I can come up with another 138 weird NPCs at some point, but yeah, I don't believe in grand narratives. Yes, I agree. I agree, Jeff. Yeah, that's the. I mean, even. I mean, like even in the old days, like the Slaver series for AD&D, it's like okay, you start off in one place, and then the next adventure is just the next place, and then the third adventure is the next place, but then something very specific has to happen for you to use the fourth adventure as is, and that's a problem. Uh, no matter what the players do, Oliver Cromwell kicks them in the nuts. Uh, or say like the Giants to Drow series, that works because if you defeat the Hill Giants, well, all you have to do the Frost Giant one is survive and know it's there. There's no grand narrative connecting them. It's just another place to go. So what's the difference if you're connecting this loose narrative thing that but the parts aren't necessary for each other? And then once you get down into the descent into the depths of the earth, it's like those things are pretty much just it's like a hex crawl with only a very limited number of hexes detailed. And then the narrative of Lolth versus was it the elder elemental god that's not very well explained. Maybe that could have been, you know. If we're doing a sequel to People, give me some advance warning to do some exercise on my drawing arm. You're a writer and an artist. Why are you not constantly doing exercise on your drawing arm? I bet you there's a way. Yes, yes, Zach, there is a way to do anything. But certain people are better suited to do certain things than others. So when I'm telling you that I don't see, it's like I'm not the person to do that. Of course, someone else could. But like who? Yes. So who? Well, considering again dealing with certain projects first, somebody's angling for a job, but yeah, no future product decisions are going to be made live on stream today. But yeah, I like my work. Well, I hope you like your work. That's very important. Okay, we're coming up on 2 hours now, and when is the next book out? Hoping we go to press in January on this to be out in February, but this is Lamentations of the Flame Princess. So that my saying that is probably jinxing it all by itself. Okay. So yeah, I've been at this for almost 2 hours. I think I've got to go do some things right now. So I want to thank you all for joining me for these 2 hours, helping me be a bit social when I had to cancel other plans. And see you next time.